Welcome, everybody. My name is Robert Pittock, as I mentioned before, but I guess there are some new people. I work for SurfRay, and it's my great pleasure today to introduce you to Mikael Svenson, who is a SharePoint MVP and search expert. He worked for a long time now with Fast Search and Fast Search for SharePoint. I also have the great pleasure of being co-author on a new book project with Mikael, which I'm sure he'll tell us more about during his presentation about Fast for SharePoint. Very honored to work with Mikael on that, and we're very pleased to have him here today to tell you about the top 3 reasons why he thinks you should upgrade your search solution to Fast Search for SharePoint. I think he's going to give us some great examples here today too, so I'm looking forward to that. A couple of just technical things before we get started, and that's that we will be taking everyone is muted in the participation, so you can't talk. And that, of course, is so that we don't hear a lot of background noise and we don't disturb the presentation. But you are free and encouraged to give us questions, and we'll try to answer them as we go along. Any questions that we can't answer as we go along, we'll pose Mikael at the end of the presentation. The presentation will be recorded and available on our website, so please do come to surfray.com and have a look at this presentation a little bit later and all our other presentations. The questions can either be put in the chat box or in the Q&A box, which you'll find if you go to the menu of WebEx. All right, I think that's about it, so I will let you go ahead, Mikael.
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Robert. So, yeah, I'm very pleased to do this webcast this evening. Well, it's evening my time at least, so I have no idea where in the world all the other guys are. So I will tell you a little bit about top 3 reasons why you should upgrade SharePoint Search to Fast. At least it's my 3 top reasons. So I did an article on this last year, and I actually changed my top 3 reasons since then. And well, you'll see if you read the article, and it all builds up to reason number 3, I guess. So a very short agenda, so just a brief introduction, then we'll just go down to the demo and the 3 reasons, and Q&A at the end. So a little bit about me. As Robert said, I'm a SharePoint MVP, which I guess I got due to my work within Fast Search for SharePoint. So I've been working with search for about 12, 13 years now, anywhere from media monitoring, web crawling search, and a lot with Fast. Also worked for a company creating our own search engine. So I've been working with all different aspects of search, from creating a search engine to working with others and selling and coding, and yeah. And also, as Robert said, we're currently working on a book called Working with Microsoft Fast Search Server 2010 for SharePoint for Microsoft Press. So we're done with all the content, and we're in the review phase, so hopefully the book will be out in the beginning of March. So as long as we just do the review and just edit everything, it should be out pretty soon. So I call myself a search enthusiast because I guess when I started working, after working with computer games, I sort of happened to go into search, and now search is both work and a hobby. And I guess I'm a coder, like deep down, I like to get dirty and write code. But during my daytime job, I work as a consultant and advisor, and also in-house programmer at Puzzle Parts. And we create SharePoint apps. So we do both consulting and apps. So that's the short introduction. So the demo I'm doing today is actually done in a virtual machine. It's the Microsoft Information Worker virtual machine with Certified 1 downloadable from Microsoft. And I've installed the Value Pillars content pack just to get some content working with it. So you could actually try everything I do today. You can try yourself inside that virtual machine if you download it. Okay, so now let's get down to business. So reason number 1. So why should you upgrade from SharePoint Search to Fast? So the number 1 reason, in my opinion, is something called the indexing pipeline within Fast, which guess a better word could be content processing. This is basically getting the unstructured data during indexing and getting some structure out of it. So if you imagine you index content in SharePoint, some documents. So you have say a Word file, and then you have different columns with different metadata. So all the metadata are structured information, and also all the properties you can set within the Word document would be structured information, but the unstructured information would be all the text. And using the built-in SharePoint search, you can't really do anything with unstructured data. So all the structured data you can do something about, and you can create refiners, and you can search on it like author or whatever column you actually decide to add to your document library. But the unstructured you cannot do anything about. But using the indexing pipeline in Fast Search for SharePoint, you can actually pull out the content from within documents, and you can start looking at it, and you can modify it, normalize it, enrich it, clean it, or whatever you actually want to do. So I'll just show you some quick examples what I mean. So say you have the entity Barack Obama, and that could be written in numerous ways, like Barack Hussein Obama II, Barack Obama, Obama, President Obama, or Senator Obama. And they all mean the same thing. So you could actually create a stage in the indexing pipeline looking for all the different variants of Barack Obama, and then you can normalize it into one. And if you look at, so say you have a project called Framework, that could be spelled inside the documents as project framework, or there's a code 1212 with a hash number. So you see the different spellings, like Puzzle Core, which is a name for a project I'm working on. So you have like 5-6 different ways of actually writing what a project is. And then you can look for all the different variations using whatever rules you need, and then normalize all the spellings for a certain project to the same thing. And then you could actually create a refiner. So I'll show a bit about the refiners afterwards. Same with, say, you have iPhone. There's like a lot of different variants of the iPhone, and also product codes, which could be normalized. And also, if you look at dogs, so I have 2 dogs, so that's why I did the dog sample. Where like big, these are all big dogs, and you can pull that out. So this could be that. So if you have a list of dogs in SharePoint, but you don't have a column saying what kind of dog it is, so you could do this in SharePoint. So all of these samples are shown right here. You can actually do with only configuration in Fast. You don't actually have to do any coding for it. And another thing about normalization is, so some data which might be structured in one repository, so say within SharePoint, might not be the same structure in another line of business system. So say in SharePoint, you write project numbers in a specific way, but then you might have a CRM system where you write the project numbers in a different way. So they're both structured data, but they look different, and you want to normalize them and treat them in the same way when you do search, so you don't get duplicates. So it's basically all about trying to create a mental model of all the information you have, and then find out, so what's the navigation triggers I actually have to work with. So I'll show one sample in a few moments where I do a refiners on department, which is typical. So you have author, but then if you go one level up, you have the department where people work at. So it's something you could do. So I'll switch over to my virtual machine. So I'll do some samples there. So this is the information work sample. So the data inside here is actually for a company called Contoso, and they work with cameras. So if I do a search for M300, so the search page you're looking at right now, this is the default search page with the built-in search in SharePoint. So if I search for M300, so I get the first hit is a website for the M300 camera, and I get some documents. But if you look at the result types, So I have different result types, and then I have site, and then I have author, date, and then you have product category and the product here. That's actually from managed metadata using the managed metadata store in SharePoint. But there are no counts on the refineries. And also, if you look at the top, it says 1 out of 10 are about 92 results. So if I switch to the other tab here and I do the exact same search for M300, so then I see, well, now I get 1 out of 10 are 82. So I actually get the exact number of results. So even if it's only a few results, it's less than 100. That's because the out-of-the-box SharePoint search estimates from about 50, and then it guesses a number after that. You can put this higher. I guess you could put it up as high as 400 or 500, and it will still work. But the higher you set it, the more processing power you will use on your search solution. And also on all the refineries, you have an exact count. So what you see right here, I have a refiner here called products, and they list M300, M500, and all the different products. And this is actually created from looking inside either the data on the web pages or inside the Word document. So all this. So simply, I created this XML file, which I had to do with fast. So the key here is the term I'm looking for, and then the value is what I'm outputting. So everything is basically lowercase when you search for something, and then I can set the casing afterwards. So say I had a product called 301, which is actually the same camera, and then I could add an entry for this and rewrite it out to M300 as well if I just want to keep the top levels. So it's fairly easy to do this. So basically just does a search for the text inside whatever you index, and then you get it into a structured property which you could create a refiner for. So that's the same thing. That's how I built the product refiner. I also have a refiner called department in addition to the author, and that's more or less created in the same way. So I created a list with all the employees inside of this image. So it's a couple of hundred, almost 300 employees, and then I just pulled out whatever department they worked in. So this is the information from Active Directory. So what I've done here actually I coded a custom document processor inside the pipeline, which looks at whatever author field is coming in, and then it maps it over to the department. So basically a lookup. So look at the author. So this could be the author from within SharePoint, or if you crawl file share, it's the person who created the document on the file share. It could also be the property inside the Word document as author. So there's different properties for author, and just mapping it to department. So then it's very easy to actually navigate. So if I go to strategy consulting, then see all documents created from people working inside the strategy consultant department. So this is Brad Sutton has created a lot of documents, and he's actually the head of the department. This is quite easy way. If you look at another thing in my screen, you see these small numbers at the top. So these are actually the rank score coming out from FAST. This tells you whatever rank this document got. So this is sort of a relative score, but this is what you're working with when you're tuning a rank in FAST. I'll show this as well. So it's quite valuable to actually emit this into your search result when you test different things to see what kind of score you get. Okay. So that's reason number one. So basically, you look at the content, you have some business rules, and then you want to create. It could be a refiner, it could be some extra metadata you want to show to actually do something with your content. So basically, you could search for specific words inside the document and do a web service call to some external system, pull in some data. So I've actually done this for a couple of customers where they have an organization number for a company, and then we use a public service where we pull in who's a member of the board of the company, and you want to show that as metadata towards your result. So only your business rules and whatever needs you have actually puts a limit to what you can do inside the pipeline stage. So if you have any questions about doing pipeline stages, so we can do that at the end. Okay. So reason number 2. So that's the advanced query capabilities of FAST. So when you search with out-of-the-box SharePoint, so you have a normal query language. So that will be, okay, you type a word, you could type like author : Brad Sutton. So you have property queries. You can minus some words, so it could be a minus product. So basically easy way of entering queries. Exactly, more or less the same as you can do when using Google. But using the fast query language, you have a lot of other operators as well. And this is not a language for the end user. It's far too complex. So if I were to write the same query as I have right there in the fast query language, I'll just type it into the box, but it won't work. So that would actually be so it's a Boolean language. So and then we have M300, comma, author, string, Brad Sutton, for example. So that's the first 2. And then you don't want to have a minus product, so then we could have a not comma product. So it is quite complex, and this is not for end users, but it's quite powerful language if you use it programmatically. So I'll show a quick demo just using where I'm using the fast query language via a search scope. So if I first search for the term market, so then I get a number of hits with the first one with a rank score of almost 3,000. And then I created a search scope which looks like this. So basically what this does is uses an operator in FAST called xrank, which is an operator where you can boost certain documents. So and then there's the first part of the query is the matching query. And this is a sort of a way to match all items. So I want to evaluate all items for this boost. And then I'm looking at this query. It says near M300 and market. So what this means is for any document which has the word M300 and market within 4 words of each other, they will gain an additional boost of 5,000. So this has been created with a search scope. So if I now add the search scope to my query, which is called near, which includes this fast query language part, so if I search now you see the first document is the same, but now it has 7,986. So it's been added 5,000 points. And also you see there's a lot of other items here as well, which now get fairly high boosts. And then so all the first 4 has actually gotten 5,000 extra points. So if I remove the scope again, so see there's a different list. So in addition to actually using the numbers here, so I have a small tool here as well. It's kind of technical, but I'll show you for the query I did. So this is hit number 1, and here you see it. So this is where I actually got the 5,000 extra points. So you can actually see how the score is built up. If we go down to hit number 4 and then hit number 5. So hit number 5 also got 5,000 extra points, but as it's a website, it's getting 4,000 minus points as well. So this is something which is default in FAST, is that all SharePoint list items will get 4,000 negative points, And I also added hits for sites, like for the top site, we'll also get minus 4,000. So there's a lot of ways you can actually tune how results are added in FAST, and you can do this using search scopes. So using search scopes is a great way of doing this because then you'll still get the synonym and keyword functionality within SharePoint. But if you start writing fast query language directly from your SurfRay parts, then the keywords and synonym functionality will not work. So using scopes is a great way to actually evaluate items and do extra boost or deboost built on the items. So that's just a short introduction to the fast query language where I use the xrank operator and also the near operator. So I would say the fast query language is sort of like SQL for search, where you can do sort of like, well, you don't have joins, but you can do a lot of ands or nots and all different operators for fast. So when you start working with fast, you'll probably take a look at all the operators, and then you can actually start expressing the different business needs you have. So I will move over to reason number 3, and that's contextual search. So this sort of builds on using whatever you can do in the indexing pipeline, modifying the content, and then using whatever modification you did to the data with the query language. So SharePoint, when using FAST, comes with a built-in user context. So I'll show this. So if we go to the SharePoint site, and site actions and site settings, and a bit down at the bottom here, we have some FAST menus. There's one called FAST Search User Context. So here I've created a user context called department. So basically, you can create a user context with any property from the SharePoint profile page. So out of the box, you can use office location or ask me about. I've also added department and hire date. So what I did now, so I created a context called department, and if the department name matches strategy consulting, then the context will take effect. So once you created the user context, then you can use it for example, site promotions and demotions. So I created a promotion here called Contoso. So what this does is, if the item resides on this SharePoint site called SP2010 Pillars, then for users, member of the Department Strategy Consulting, then this promotion will take effect. And the promotion will actually give, default, it will give you 1,000 extra points if it matches. This can be tuned to something else, but then you have to use PowerShell in order to tune it. So we'll see how that works. So first, if I go back to my fast search page, and if I search for the word analysis, then you see the top document here is called the Market Analysis Report with almost 3,000 rank points. So now I will log in as the user Brad Sutton. Like this. And now you see the top document now is a Contoso competitive analysis. And then the previous document, which was first, is now the 30th. Because these two documents, they reside at the, if we look at links, so they're at the 2010 Pillar site, while the others is at the Pillars BI site. So now we actually boosted two documents above the other one, based on Brad Sutton being a member of the Strategy Consulting Department. And we can also see this if we go back to this tool and look at the rank log. So here you see there's 1,000 extra points for the URL intranet Contoso sites SP20 Pillars. So that's how it works. So it's but this works for boosting boosting sites. So the next thing we could do is boost on the department I added. So if I added this department refiner, so then we could actually try to boost on that instead. So I will re-log in as my administrator user, because that user is a member of any department. Administrator. Okay. So I'll search for product. Okay. So now I get different items here. So they're all, so this created by system account, and here's number 3 is also by the system account by the administrator. So I also have all other from New Year Gonzalez. So here's different documents. So now I will log in as a user, another user of the strategy consulting department. So this one is called item R. That's one. So Eden Rubin. Now you see all the documents at the top right now. So I have fairly high boost points, over 7,000 for the first 2, and the author is Brad Sutton. So that, and Brad Sutton is it's actually the boss of Eden Rubin. So that's why these are boosted at the top. So that's a department boost. So how is this actually achieved? So what I've done for this, I actually modified the SurfRay part. So for those of you who don't know code, so don't be too afraid. So this is not that hard. So basically, here's code retrieving the department of the current user, and then appending a scope to the end with called DEPT, and then the department name. So basically what I did, I pre-created a lot of scopes. So here you have all the different scopes, department, executive, operation, etc. And then I just add these scopes. And the scope is fairly similar to the first one. So what it does, it matches all items, and then it does this query here, which is the department colon and the name of the department. And the filter query here means don't use any stemming for this because it's an exact name. And then boost it with 5,000. So it's the exact same thing as the other boost will do. So just append the scope to the query. So I could equally have written like product scope colon and department strategy consulting, and that would have worked. So I'm just appending scopes with code. So I also created a couple other boosting scopes. So say you are a newly hired employee. So you might want to promote certain items for a newly hired to give them information about, so where should they find stuff. I'll just do an empty query. So I will log in as a user called Chinese name, like this. Okay. So the user Kwong Wu, if you look in Active Directory, has a hire date which is less than 90 days. So now if I search for product, so then my top site is a site called Rookie. If I open the site called Rookie, it has the word product in it. So basically what it does, basically what happens is, if you are a rookie, we will boost any item from the rookie site with 5,000 extra points. So I mean, using 5,000 is not a magic number. You will actually have to tune this according to your content and your queries and see what works if you have other parts boosting in as well. But this is an easy way of boosting content. So after 90 days after this person has joined, then this boost will not take effect anymore. And this is also coded in the same web part here, where it says if today's date is and the hire date is less than 90, then add the boost. And I also created one for people who might go into retirement. So if they have, so if I get the birth date and they have worked for more than 65 years in the company, then we add a scope called retire, which will boost any item from the retire site with 5,000. So I'll do this as well. So I will log in first as my administrator user. Then I will search for camera. Then I get a hit for a lot of the cameras since we're dealing cameras. If I now log in as a user who's over 65 years old, for Dan P and the password, for Dan Park, so then I get the retired site at top. So if you notice, the score is not, since I added 5,000, but it's still only 3,000, and that's due to, I'm deducting 4,000 due to it being a site, but it's still at the top with a high score. So if you look at the retired site, then there's there. So when you're retired, you'll get a replacement camera every year from the company. So this is actually, so using search scopes and using the fast query language, it's quite easy to build contextual search. So it's basically what you have to do is you have to examine what kind of users do you have, what's the business needs, and then you have to start working out, so what are the rules, how should we rearrange the content, what content should be on top for different kinds of users, etc. And I guess we're just about at the end of time as well. So that's the top 3 reasons. So number 1, indexing pipeline, modifying the content. Reason number 2, using the advanced query language so fast. And then reason number 3, taking advantage of the built-in contextual search and also building contextual search yourself using code and search scopes and the fast query language on whatever data you have extracted. So thank you very much for listening.
Super. Thanks very much, Mikael. I would like everyone to encourage, or I'd like to encourage everyone, rather, to ask any questions now that they may want to know about anything about FAST or SharePoint search, because you're probably not going to get a better group of people who know about these things here today. So please do feel free to ask questions in the chat or the Q&A section, and we will address them individually. We'll stay on for about 5 to 10 minutes to handle questions before we end. I don't see any yet, but we are waiting if you're typing. Mikael, in the meantime, while we're waiting for people to type questions, do you have any best practices, recommendations on when and where to use these kinds of optimizations in FAST?
So I think if you roll out search, you would probably first just do a regular upgrade and just replace your whatever search you have with FAST. But then you have to start examining what kind of business needs you have for users. And you might, and I wouldn't recommend starting with everyone. I would just target one group of people. I mean, it could be management, it could be the sales department, or just some either a large group or a special group which has high value of finding the right content. And then figuring out, so when they search, so what are the search needs, what are they not finding, or why are they not finding it, and then trying to surface the best data at the top.
Well, what do you usually find are the trigger points for customers that want to move from SharePoint Search to Fast? Is it like a scale thing, or is it complaints from the users? I can't find anything, or is it the business need to have some kind of search-based application or modified search? What do you see as the major trigger points for these?
I think one of the major trigger points is when you start adding the second system you want to index. So say you index SharePoint, but then you have some other line of business system with a lot of data. And then you want to bring both data sources together. That's the main trigger point, because then you have to start pulling things together. So I mean, in Norway we have a lot of oil companies, and typically for them, what I've done in the past is finding either project numbers or the rig number, and then find so they can like navigate on the rig, because that's something they do all the time. So just finding out how do they work with the information, so what's their angle when they work with information. I mean, it could be, do they work out from a project, from an oil rig, it could be from a contract. So what entity you work out from, and then you have to start tuning everything from there.
Of course.
Sort of
cool.
Answers your question.
We have a very good question here from Larry, if you'd like to address it. Larry asks, doesn't it take a long time and effort to analyze all the unstructured crawl results to group them? How is that done? Fast
already has all your data is currently running through about 30, 40 stages already. So adding one more will not add that much to the processing. And it's also a distributed architecture where you can add more servers with more processing power. So it's a hardware issue. So the more CPU power, the more items you can process. But yes, if you do a lot of advanced stuff with your data, it will take time. But typically, like I did, looking at the author and creating the department, that's it's negligible in the total amount of processing time used for one item. So so I wouldn't expect your call time to increase that much by adding these things, because basically, I mean, you have a limited amount of data in each document, and just going through the data is fairly quick, but it's CPU intensive. So there's another question by Larry.
Yeah.
Are there tools?
I'll read it.
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead.
Yeah, you read it.
Just go ahead. Are there tools to suggest groupings of content words?
Default Fast creates a document vector in the document, which it will try to pull out terms and phrases it deems important for that document. But it will only look at the words inside of that document by itself. So it works to some extent, but I would not say it's the best tool out there. But there are other clustering tools available from third-party vendors which can do this kind of thing. So you probably look into a third-party tool to hook into the indexing pipeline in order to do stuff like that. But building on that, so what you could do if you have your content words inside SharePoint Managed Metadata, so you could pull those terms out from Managed Metadata Store and then look for those terms within the document and create something yourself to group words. So that's one way of doing it.
Is it hard to find those third-party tools, Mikael?
I work with the one I work with most is an engine called Carrot, So if you search for Carrot 2 or Carrot 3, you'll find it. I know there's a company that's built a tool around that engine, but I can't remember the name of it right now.
I should also mention that as probably everyone who's on knows, but SurfRay does build third-party tools for both SharePoint search and fast search. One of our very popular and famous tools is called Ontolica, and it's basically a search and preview enhancement for both SharePoint and fast search, so you get a little bit better UI experience out of Ontolica. And we also have a fast management product that I don't know if you had a chance to look at it yet, Mikael, but it allows you to optimize and automate a lot of the management features of fast.